Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an unexplained phenomena video about giants with horned skulls. And when I first read this, I thought it was a joke or some kind of a farce, hoax. But the more research I did, I kept finding weird stuff that is hard to explain, so I'm going to include it. I'm going to make this an actual video, so here we go. In the 1800s, a group of archaeologists, and I want to get the exact date, but I can't. It's not published anywhere that I can find. I know it's in the 1800s, late 1800s. A group of archaeologists, including a Pennsylvania state historian, 2 professors, and a member of the Presbyterian church hierarchy, went to the town of Sayre in Bradford County, Pennsylvania. They discovered a series of burial mounds where they unearthed a number of skeletons. The average height of these skeletons was over 7 feet tall. So, that's a big person, period. The skulls of these giants had 2 distinct horns, which were integral parts of the skulls. They were not added later. They weren't pasted on. They weren't stuck in there. They were part of the skull. They grew from the bone in the skull. They were integral parts. The burial date of these skeletons was estimated at about 1200 AD. Essentially, we had 7-foot giants with horns who died almost 800 years ago. And that's a mouthful. So, let's talk about what happened with these things. This is the part that gets me. The remains were sent to the American Investigation Museum in Philadelphia for closer examination. Scientists puzzled over these skeletons for months, and inquiries were made to other museums in Germany, France, Egypt, other places like that. And nothing ever came of it. None of the archaeological group had made public anything about these giant skeletons with horns. Yet, articles about the strange discovery appeared in journals and magazines. Someone at the American Investigation Museum talked about them. Somebody leaked it, and these magazines and newspapers were publishing articles about them. The skulls were later claimed to have been lost, lost, misplaced, or stolen from the museum. So they're gone. We can't even examine them now. Museums, I've talked about this in some other videos, museums losing artifacts or changing information about the artifacts to fit their narrative is not unheard of. Egyptian artifacts were allegedly lost from the Smithsonian, and these artifacts were evidently or allegedly found in the Grand Canyon. There's an abundance of evidence for this to have actually happened, but again, the Smithsonian Institute lost them. And these Egyptian artifacts were supposedly found from a dig in the 1900s in a cave in the Grand Canyon. And it's one thing, this is the part that gets me. You keep hearing how science knows this and science knows that. Well, how do they know it? They've investigated it. How are they investigating it? They use what's called the scientific method. They're not using the scientific method when they hide artifacts that they can't explain. If you have an explanation or a theory that you're looking to prove, and you find artifacts or information or whatever that blows that narrative out of the water, disproves your theory, you don't hide it, you come up with a new theory. That's the scientific method. You make a theory, you find out if it's true. If you can disprove it, it's not true. Okay? Now, it's one thing to prove artifacts are fakes or to otherwise legitimately discredit them through, bad dating or whatever. They got the date wrong, which, by the way, there are people in museums who've been caught changing the dates on artifacts. That kind of thing. It's one thing to disprove an artifact, but when they just make valid and real artifacts disappear, because they don't fit the official narrative. That's not science. Whatever it is, it's not science. Okay? So do some research into this, and I'd love to read your comments. This is a crazy story. Again, I thought it was a joke, and it may very well be a hoax. I don't know, but I can't disprove it. I can't. The articles in the magazines and the newspapers about this was there. They were posting this. I think maybe the people in the museum were ashamed that they couldn't find a way to explain it, and in their narrative, and so these skeletons with the horned skulls disappeared. That's my theory. Again, can't prove it, so I'm not making no allegations one way or the other. My contention is, if you have an artifact that doesn't fit your narrative is shit. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.